for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sean Hurwitz. I play guitar for Smash Mouth. In the past, Enrique Iglesias. You're hearing Bran in the background. He's my dog. Got a cat as well with my wife Trisha. And back about 10 years ago, I met this amazing human being, Joe Ayoub. We actually did a session together that Randy Cook, for those of you who have seen stuff that I've done, Randy as a drummer that also plays in Smash Mouth right now. And he originally brought me onto Smash Mouth. And he's the one that actually recommended both of us. Actually, did he recommend you as well for that gig?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go. So he recommended us for a session. It was a very interesting session because I think we came in to do 2 songs at about, I want to say about noon or 2 p.m. or something like that. And it was running so late that for me it was 1 a.m. already. That's 1 a.m. is when they got to guitars. And I said, honestly, I don't think I'm going to give you a very good performance right now. What do you want to do about it? Like I've been here for 11 hours just sitting around talking to Joe. But anyway, I ended up doing it the next day. But I did have a really, really good conversation with Joe. It was the first time I'd run into him. And we ended up talking about something that was a little controversial to us, but the point is that he was on one end of the spectrum and I was on the other end of the spectrum. But the thing that really that I really enjoyed was the fact that we could have a conversation. We agreed to disagree, but we still had a conversation about it, a really nice conversation for like 4 hours.
We had a friendly debate. We'll call it a friendly debate. And then that's the beginning of our friendship, was this friendly debate. And then we were like, that was awesome.
And I think, and we've never had like a legit argument, right? I mean, not that I can think of.
Not that I can think of, no.
No, I mean, Joe, if you guys haven't spoken to him, is just such an easy guy to talk to, and that's about it. I mean, Joe, tell us a little about yourself. I mean, other than what they know.
So, yes. Well, the way we met was on a session. So obviously we're both musicians. I'm a bass player. Sean's a guitar player, as you all know. And
vice versa. Joe is a badass guitarist, and I dabble in bass.
So that happened, and I mean, I'll just add it to our story. I mean, that, and then later, many years later, we both find ourselves on the Enrique Iglesias gig together at the same time, and that, I mean, we had a pretty long run together. What, a couple years? 3 years?
I mean,
2 years?
I was with him for 4 years, and I think you left about a half a year or a year prior to that. So
yeah, so
probably about 2.5 to 3 years. Yeah.
So then at that point, I mean, we clocked a lot of hours together and a lot of miles together too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was good years, good runs. We had a lot of fun. So yeah, the same sort of thing. I do a lot of live playing with different people. I do a lot of recording with different people. Just sort of that freelance musician, Los Angeles, based lifestyle thing. None of those words make sense together, but it doesn't.
But unless you're in LA and you know what that's about, and then,
yes, yeah. You know, we don't need to go into it. We know the whole thing. Everyone knows the whole thing.
So you, for a few years now, you just did your 3rd run with American Idol. For those of you who don't know, Joe's been in the house band for American Idol for the 3rd year in a row now, which has been interesting due to the coronavirus.
Yeah. So when I started, obviously there was no coronavirus pandemic happening, so it was just the first 2 seasons for me were pretty normal, and it was all on set, and the live shows were the live shows. But in the middle of this last season, we just wrapped up last week, actually, was the finale. We did most of it from home, like recording from home, recording all of our parts from home, and then also recording live videos from home. It's been wild. Whole different experience. Everyone's just kind of figuring it out as you go, but it's been different, and it's been challenging at times, and it's also been very rewarding to see what we can do. It's amazing what we can do with technology. I mean, the whole world is in this state of shock that is there's so much tragedy, but then there's so much beauty in seeing how we can come together and what we can do and how we're learning how to work from home, and it's wild.
It is, man. Absolutely. And I think the hardest thing for me, and I believe most people, is not knowing when it's going to end. I think because for me as an individual, when I'm on the road or when I'm home, even if I'm home for 2 months and I'm just like, man, I need to get back on the road. I do so much at home because I know in 2 months I'm back on the road, right? But when I don't know when I'm going to be out again, when I don't know how it's going to end, when I don't know when it's going to... I've spoken to musicians, I don't know how you feel about this, but I've spoken to musicians that say, yeah, it's probably going to be a year or two before we're out on the road, like full force. And I think there is some truth to that with the bigger artists like Enrique. I think the next time Enrique is going to do an international tour, or even a national tour, an arena tour, a stadium tour, it's going to be a second before that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know how it's going to end. That's the problem. But yeah, just to name a few: Enrique Iglesias, American Idol, Shakira. Anyone else that you've toured with that you care to? I mean, so many. You played with so many amazing people. But anyone you care to mention?
I mean, no, we could start there. That's fine.
Okay, perfect. So on that note, Q&A. We're here for you guys. We're going to have a cool conversation, but we're here to answer your questions. We've got a bunch of questions already. I'm going to start by hitting this thing and seeing if it gives me the questions. And if not, we have other ones. Okay, so we're just going random here. So first of all, snacks, salty or sweet?
Oh, man. This random. Easy. Well, is this a random question generator or someone really asked that?
No, someone asked this in advance, and I can just pop these up. Yeah. It's the first time I'm doing it, so...
Who? I love this person, because I love this question.
They asked another one. I can tell you off, fan, but anyway, snacks, salty or sweet?
Offline. Almost always salty, but I don't want to belittle the sweet, because really the true answer is the combination is magic.
Oh, yes.
But all things salty and crunchy are my... When I get snacky, I love crunchy, I love salty, and sweet kind of just clears the palate again for more salty and crunchy.
I love that. That's to me. I'm all about the sweet stuff. That's my problem. That's why you're so skinny, and I'm not so skinny. And just so you guys know,
I'm packing them on in the.
Joe and I and Alex were like a team back in the day. We did CrossFit together. Alex would coach us wherever we were, no matter where we were in the world. We would try and get each other to get to the, like on the WhatsApp group, like, guys, come on, let's do this. Get to the gym. Let's get on there. I was always trying to lean and build muscle. Joe was always trying to get Alex's guns. And I don't think either of us really ever got what we were, we were shooting for.
Never even came close.
But it was a good attempt. Let's see what else we got. By the way, that was Stephanie Reese. This one's a good one by Stephanie as well. Favorite part of touring?
Well, I would say my favorite part is the show, the sound check, and the show. There's just something.
What about it?
I mean, that's why you're there. That's what I prepared my whole life for. That's what I love. I love playing, like absolutely love playing live. So some of the other things like the sightseeing or days off in a cool city or staying at a really fun hotel in a good area of a new town, like it still, to me, feels secondary to the reason why you're out there is playing a show. Like it's funny in being on the road. I get a little antsy with too many days off. I rather just have the shows packed in. It just feel like it. I don't know. There's something about that where days off are fun, and you can plan some cool things, plan some cool outings, and it's good to have a break, but you really want to be playing. That's the whole reason why you're out there to begin with.
And it's worth mentioning that to us, it's really easy to play day after day, but the crew, dude, oh my God. When they do like 3 in a row or something like that, they are drained.
Yeah.
And you just come, you're like fresh, you come to sound check, you're like, hey, here's a guitar, here's bass. You just do your thing. But yeah, there you go, the show. Let's see what else we got. I'll take from somewhere else. Also, people are asking, Jonya wants to know, what do you think about this pandemic? Do you have anything other than what we were talking about a little before? Like, what are your thoughts in general?
No, I mean, there's nothing really that I could add to the conversation. We're all taking it one day at a time and hoping for the best and want things to go back to normal, but trying to sort of adjust to what this new normal is. My musical community in particular, we're a community that is hit hard because of the fact that so many of my friends and colleagues rely on live playing to survive. Right. So it's scary and we're all wondering when we'll be able to go back to normal, and but I think keeping a positive attitude and never losing hope, and it'll unfold how it unfolds. So one day at a time. But it's tough. Definitely tough.
Yeah. We're always going to have challenges. That's life. But this is a new kind of challenge. And to me, it's a new kind of challenge because it's global. It's not just the U.S. economy that's being hit. And it's not just, I don't know, choose a country and say whatever they're happening. It's a global thing that is affecting the whole world. There is no one that is not affected by this. Everyone is affected. Even if the biggest thing you have that affects you is when you go out in public, you have to put on a mask. You're affected by it. I mean, everyone is affected by it. So it's quite the experience.
And it's these two sides to it, right? Like there's the actual virus that is making people sick and is taking lives, which is the biggest tragedy of what's happening. But then you also have everyone's livelihood and jobs and whether they're able to feed their family, which is the other side, and is also, monumental tragedy. So
it's affecting on so many levels.
Yeah,
and it's not done. That's the thing, is like, this is going to be something that affects the world economy. Even after we bury the people that passed away and people get through it, man, we're going to feel this impact for a long, long time after it's done. And who knows when it's going to be done. But I know in Israel, they opened a lot of stuff. I know that a lot of places in the world are open. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. You see, when they talk about the flu pandemic back in I think it was the 30s or the 20s, maybe I'm wrong about that, but they show the first wave and then the second wave when people felt like, okay, we're done, and then it's like everyone got infected. So time will tell. Let's see what else we got. This is a good one. Would you ever consider acting? I think you have acted.
Yes, it's extremely, it's way more difficult than I ever would have imagined. I've done some auditions, and I'm fascinated with it. It's a skill. It's something you need to work on, and I don't know that I'm great at it. I mean, we've all, like, it's so common for musicians to like do like sidelining or be in it, like you're in your commercial. Like I see your commercial all the time. Yep. But that sort of acting that's a comfortable place for you, being on stage. If for those of you who don't know, you don't mind if I mean, I'm sure they've all seen it.
Go right ahead.
But there's Sean's in this progressive insurance commercial featuring Smash Mouth, and it's like every day it's on. Anytime my TV is on, I watch the news a lot to kind of keep up with what's going on with COVID, and then I'm like, there he is. He's on my TV again. So it's a really cool commercial. So we do things like that, but like a role and a character, I would love to do it, but I don't know. It just hasn't really, it's more like a pipe dream than something I really put the time and energy into. Because there's so many things musically that, I want to do and put my time into. But I would love to do it. I think.
Have you ever done acting? I don't remember.
No, I mean, I was in like whatever musicals in high school, and I've done some auditions out here for like just a couple lines or something. But I would love it. I'd love to take an improv class too.
Man, that would scare the crap out of me. That would scare the crap out of me. I think, Joe, you thrive on improv. You're just like, hey, let's just give it a shot. And me, I'm such a planner. Improv, for whatever reason, psychology, it scares the crap out of me. Being unprepared is the one of the scariest things to me. And you thrive on it.
I don't know if I thrive on it. I mean, definitely trying to be funny and then something is not funny is that's hard. That's no fun. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh.
Someone asked what musicals you're in, and I think you just mean musicals like you're in the no. So what musicals were you in? Like what?
No, I was in Oklahoma.
Oh.
And there was I feel like there was another. I think I was in Oklahoma. And what was another one? I realized early that I love being in the pit way more. So whenever there's a musical, like once I got that bug of playing in the pit, I was like, this is way more fun than being on stage. I just want.
That's what I was gonna say. For me, I've done musicals as the musician, as one of the people in the band, which was fun. That's really cool. It's quite an experience. Someone asked on another place, do you have to have rehearsals for American Idol?
Do we have? Yeah, I mean, when the show is happening, yeah, absolutely, we have to rehearse because everything's happening live, right? We as a band are playing for the contestant, and there's going to be a performance together. So you rehearse with each contestant. So there's tons of rehearsals. Now, when we've been doing it from home, there's no way to rehearse. So once we figure out what song they're going to do, and then we kind of build the track, and they'll rehearse with the audio we provide. So it's not it's not happening in real time live. But it's
so the musical director puts together an arrangement. Everyone
there's each contestant gets a vocal coach and an accompanist. There's three teams of vocal coach and accompanist that work with, and every contestant gets assigned to one of those teams. So now they've been doing it where they're on a Zoom and they're figuring out what song gets approved. Okay, this works. Then they'll figure out what key. They'll figure out what kind, maybe an arrangement where if it's a fast song, maybe I want to do this fast song, but I want to do it more mellow.
Right.
With this kind of vibe. They figure all that out, and then it comes to us, and then we create that for them.
And then you create it, it goes back, and then they practice to that track that you guys recorded.
Correct. And then they'll sing to that. Yep.
Okay. Now, when you're doing that, is that the end result? Like you're already recording the video of you playing, you're recording your final product?
Once it leaves our hands, then it gets mixed, and then we'll go to the contestant. Yeah, and they'll have a little time with it. Where before, the process was they're singing along with the band live.
Yeah. Which would be rehearsal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different experience, but they're still getting a everyone thinks it's like sort of like phoned in tracks or like no, they're getting a handmade track for them, their arrangement, their key, that, you know, it's still very specialized for them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll take a detour. Celia says, Simon asks, would you ever consider professional soccer?
Mr. Petty. You know what? I wish I could play it. What a beautiful sport. I wish I could.
Have you, I mean, growing up in Israel, soccer was the sport. Basketball, sort of. Baseball, a tiny bit for the Americans. But soccer was the sport. It still is. What, have you as, no? Or yes?
No,
no.
I mean, yeah, being American born and growing up in America, I have a relationship with soccer or football as many Americans did grow. It wasn't on the level of basketball, football, these sort of American huge sporting things. I was never really a sports guy in general, all the way around, but
I'm not either, man.
Yeah. Simon, I would love, you know what? Maybe you can teach me a few moves on the, you know. I think
it's more fun to play when you're a kid. I know some people that play for fun as adults. You can get hurt. Like, adults don't mess around, and, you know, you get kicked in the face. Things are getting broken, you know. That was totally a joke question. We love that you're actually answering. Well,
hey,
Celia, you got to tell us these things. No, it's a good question. Yeah.
I'm going to answer
Okay, let's see what else we got. What is your favorite guitar?
What is my favorite guitar? That's kind of like, what's your favorite band or what's your favorite song? The relationship changes, and often the music dictates what your favorite instrument would be. Yeah. So I don't have a favorite. It rotates. There are ones that are more comfortable to me that I like better, but then something else about them will irritate me, like it's just not cutting through a mix, or there's dead notes on it that bug me. Yeah, so it's kind of a moving, changing thing. I don't have the one.
You know
instrument.
What? I'll change the I'll change it a little. What is your favorite bass? What was your favorite bass to use with Enrique live?
I always kind of go back to a Fender Precision bass, which is, it doesn't get more standard than that for electric bass, and there's a reason for that. It's the sound of so many records, of so many of the records I listened to growing up, and there's just something about it that is so musical and fits inside so many different genres of music. So if someone said you have to have one instrument for the rest of your life, it would probably be a really good P bass, and it covers so much territory.
Okay. Let's see here.
Acoustic, someone said. I'm supposed to be reading these, huh? Let me see.
Oh, wait, we can go through all of these. There's a bunch of questions. I have Christy sending me the questions that they're asking. So we've got, I'm getting them here.
Cool.
One question here, but we can ask her, Joe, which is the most memorable concert? Go for it.
No, most memorable concert. Wow.
That's a good one. It always gets me.
Just with Enrique specifically, or just in general, or did they say?
I think they mean in general.
I don't know, but things that come to mind. I remember we did a huge with Shakira. We did a huge World Cup show, and we're part of like the opening ceremonies. And the World Cup is just so massive worldwide, and you could just feel that. And this is in South Africa, So I remember that being specifically very memorable. But there's so many. And some of them, like, I'm Lebanese, so playing in Lebanon with people is just really something that's very, very special to me. I have family there, and to think that I made it that far where that I would be with an artist that would play a show there is very special to me. So those shows are always really special. Anything close to my hometown, like Detroit or Chicago, where my family could come out, those are always really special to me. There's something magical about like festivals and outdoor.
Yeah.
What's the Malta shows with Enrique? Those were always amazing. There was something magical there.
I'm trying to remember what was. I don't remember the Malta. Did I do any of those with you? I don't know.
I think you did, right? We did like 3. They just kept happening. But
then it makes sense. Makes sense that I did.
Yeah.
I love outdoor shows. I always answer the question similar to yours. I answer that question with like playing in Israel a few times was like so memorable to me. But playing in your country, in Lebanon, which as an Israeli, I'm actually not allowed there. That was my 3rd gig with Enrique. I was still in the trial week. I had done that place near France, Monaco. I did that gig. I did, the next one was Turkey, and then I did Lebanon. Those were the 3 gigs that I did to see if I even got the gig. And that was my 3rd gig, and I remember it. It was in a place called Eden, I think, and we drove up there. It took like 3 or 4 hours to get up there, and we were only there for a very short amount of time. But
I remember the guest list. Your guest list for the Israel show was crazy, right?
Well, I mean, it was family, you know.
Mm.
I tried. Guest lists were always funny with that gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is similar, but what's your favorite venue around the world? Is there one specific venue specifically that you're just like, oh yeah, dude, like Red Rocks or something like that?
Yeah, I like the venues that have the history because I'm such a music fan before anything. So like anytime you play at Madison Square Garden, it's just like the history there and you can't believe you made it. Or even here, like the Forum or
Staples.
First Ave in Minneapolis. For me, just venues that I remember the Palace in Auburn Hills, because I used to grow up seeing concerts. I saw Elton John there. I saw Billy Joel there. Like, to think that I would have a chance to play there as an adult. So
That's awesome.
I love nostalgia. I love, so those venues that sort of have that around them are really cool for me.
I know we have a lot of Enrique fans in the house, probably that haven't seen you in a while, and we do have a slew of Enrique questions. I think this is a good one if you can think about it. A funny moment with Enrique. Tell us about a funny moment with Enrique Iglesias. Tell us about a funny moment with Enrique's band. You choose which you'd like to answer, and I assume that with Enrique's band would probably involve Jamar.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was gonna say with the band. Oh. There's so many because
it's a fun gig. Like it's a fun band. People.
Yeah, it's a really fun band, and there's a lot of great memories. Man, I'm so bad at pick a good memory from. It's hard to think of one.
I sympathize.
Totally get it. I mean, help me, please. I mean, you were there. The whole time,
it all becomes a mishmash. You remember these little things, but really it's all. I mean, I would say that the funniest moments for me were with. I don't have that many funny moments with Enrique. I think the funniest moment with Enrique, I don't know if you were there, was when he threw the cake at us and hit Jason. Were you there at that point? But I know he's done that before, so I'm sure you've been there before. That was the funniest moment with Enrique. But with Enrique's band, man, I think the funniest moment is something that you guys don't experience. which is when we arrive in a country, and we get on a bus because there's like 30 people. So it's not like a van. With Smash Mouth, we have a few vans, the band van and the gear van. With this, it's just like a bus. And we get on, and one of the first things that Jamar will always do is get on the microphone and do, what does he sing? I'm trying to remember. Is it a Mariah Carey tune?
He has multiple classics. There's many hits that he likes to draw from.
Yeah. So he'll just, the first thing, everyone's after a long flight, the crew, everyone's coming from all over the world. And, everyone's on the bus, everyone's just groggy or tired, and Jamar will grab the mic and just start singing like some hit, and everyone will crack up. I mean, it is just, so Jamar is like such he's like the glue of that whole camp. So I think many of my personal fun moments or funny moments with the band usually involve Jamar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a special character, and definitely we always say that he's like the morale of the band, because even if there's a long stretch or everyone's a little grouchy because we had a 3 a.m. lobby call after a concert that finished. Yep. Like there's some brutal moments in there, and he can always make everyone smile and laugh, and it's great. So great to have him during those times, because we know we're all going to crack up, and we're going to be half asleep, and we're going to be grouchy, and we're going to be hungry, but he can always make us laugh. And
I have to say that Smash Mouth is different. It's more of a rock gig. Everyone's having fun. We're all brothers in arms. But the Enrique gig it's just a bunch of people from all over the world that are just having fun. So there are so many. It's not like there's a specific one that comes to mind. There are so many moments where everyone makes fun of each other. Everyone knows each other's little things. Every time we're on an airplane, we're going to get off and someone's going to be on the group text, like that. Mm-hmm, a picture of them with Jamar painting something. I mean, it's just nonstop all the time. How much time, I don't know if you have an answer to this, but how much time did you guys spend with Enrique? Was it just on stage or also before or after? I know you were in it for much longer than me. You were in it for like 9 or 10 years, I want to say. So you definitely had much more experiences like that with me. So go for it.
That would always like come and go in waves, it always depended on how busy the schedule was or sort of the routing of the travel. Yeah, there's been times often where we're only seeing each other at sound check and the show. Yeah. And then we're going a different direction, or he has to go a different direction. But then there's other times where we would have a fun after party where we'd all be together and have a chance to hang out and have a drink. And so I think he has a whole
depends on the setting.
Different level of responsibilities that have nothing to do with us. So it depends on the setting. But we've have had some really fun times, I think, all together, and it's nice for the artist to spend some time with the band and crew. It's important for that bonding. I think it just makes being on stage that much more special when you have more time to bond. And
what someone had asked us, and I'll take this opportunity to ask that, how was performing or being a part of the Shakira camp? I'll say, like, what parts did you enjoy the most about that?
It truly feels like you were saying that, what's referenced often is this idea that you become a family or a little, there's just relationships and you bond. Mm-hmm. There's a bond that happens when you travel with bandmates and a crew and an artist. So, the same sort of thing with the Shakira camp. There's a very deep bond I have with them. And it's a whole different cast of characters, Yeah. but same sort of thing. She was always wanted to like make sure that there was time that we spent together to sort of bond as a group, and you know, she's always very generous and taking us out, or so yeah, we could have time on a day off together, because literally you're on stage in front of a lot of people together, and you need to have form
you need
that
to
level
connect.
of trust.
It's all about the connection.
It's all about the connection. Thank you. Exactly.
Another little inside joke from back when we were touring. It's all about the connection. You know, Jason Sutter. You know Jason Sutter, I'm sure,
Yes.
is a drummer. You know, it was just Chris Cornell's his passing anniversary, and Jason.
How many
played
years
with,
is that? Is that 2 years?
I think it's 3 years.
Oh wow.
I remember we were in Europe when that happened. I remember finding out. But Jason Sutter is a drummer that I played with in Smash Mouth, and he used to play with Chris. So I'm just kind of connecting dots. But really what I was going to say was that I heard an interview with Sutter once, and he said that it's very interesting to be in our position, to be the hired gun, because you don't have a family. Every time you re-meet you're introduced to an entire family that you need to get along with. There's a new tour manager that has the likes and dislikes. There's the new singer. There's the new artist. There's the new guitarist. There's the new drummer. It's bigger stages, smaller stages. You're coming into a crew that's been together for a long time, and you're trying to fit in. You're trying to be yourself, but you're also trying to be fit in, and you sort of have to learn how to ebb and flow. Like, you could have a tour manager that's just like, yeah, sure, how many guests do you need? 20? No, yeah, no problem. And then you'll have a tour manager that's like, listen, dude, you get one guest per month. Choose wisely. And either way is fine. It's just people have different approaches, and you kind of join each family and create your own bond with that family, like you said. Which actually brings me to a question here, which we sort of spoke about a little, so we don't have to elaborate a lot about it, but I'm interested in the bond. So someone asked, Mitchie asked, what is the difference between performing on a televised show like Idol and performing live? And I'm also curious about, is it a different bond? Hey, Kara.
Okay,
Kara's online. Long time.
Oops. So
you were saying?
Sorry, I have my don't disturb on, but I got a phone call. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
So
difference between performing live and on a televised show? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would... Performing, it's a different... So when you do a tour, generally you work really hard at the beginning, right? And there's a lot of rehearsals that you're putting the show together.
Right.
So you get all this practice time, and then you really get it under your fingers, and you really absorb the whole thing, and then you go out and perform it, and you can kind of forget about the technical and really get into performing it.
And having fun.
Yeah. It moves so... Yeah. And really, yeah. It's more about the performance, because you know the show cold. You know it inside and out. You've done it a few times. It's just in there. With the show, it's constantly changing, and you can never sort of relax into it the same way. You kind of always have to be on guard and on point and be paying attention, and which is just a different muscle. And I love both. It's so fun to be able to learn a show, craft a show, then forget about it and go play it and have fun. But there's something to like always be on your toes, and you can't look away from your chart for a second, because you haven't spent that much time with it. So you just have to kind of be on it. I love that too. It's a different challenge. But as far as the bond is, no, the bond is the same. Like with the other musicians. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have a blast together, and it's like being on the road. We're spending the same amount of time, like concentrated time together, where we're in there for whatever, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, playing music, joking with each other, like having lunch, going to the snack table. It's that the bond is actually very similar.
Gotcha. That's cool.
But yeah, the way you approach the gig is very different.
Right, which I know, again, like I said before, you thrive on that, like, what's going to happen today, and I love preparing. Like, that's one of my main things, for me personally. So, but I know, having been with you, that you're good. Throw anything at Joe. He's ready to go.
Oh, good.
This is a good one. What drew you to the music industry?
Music, really. When I was
Elaborate.
young. So there are two things. My brother was very musical at a very young age, and he did the Suzuki method, which is very much ear training. So he got really good with his ears really young, and sort of taught me how to do the same thing, like figure out songs by ear. And
What's his instrument?
so I think initially, like if I said what drew me to it, initially is probably like music videos, like seeing bands and seeing, like, I was just talking to a friend about how monumental Welcome to the Jungle video was. I remember just seeing, like, what is this? This is fascinating. You know what I mean? Like, Axl gets off the bus from a small town. I mean, this is super cheesy, but it was like, I just thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen when I was a kid. And then you love the music, and then when I started playing, once you start learning songs, like, you love a song, once you get to the point where you can play a song that is already inside of you already love, it's the coolest feeling in the world. And then you just do that more and more. And then for me, it was never a thought, like, you don't really think about a career when you're that young. You're just doing it for fun, and then it turned into, this is all I want to do all the time.
Yeah.
And then from then on out, how do I make it a career? I don't want to stop this, you know? Yeah. I just loved it from the beginning.
That's awesome. I was asking, I don't think you heard, your brother, what instrument was his main instrument?
He's a piano player, singer.
And what was your first instrument?
So my first instrument was piano. And then I really wanted to play drums in elementary school, but there were too many drummers. My friend stole the last spot, which I'm still bitter about, but that's okay.
Hey, it worked out for you,
but
dude.
didn't really. I played viola instead, which I just didn't take to it. I didn't really take to piano either. It wasn't till about middle school age, like 7th grade, where then I was playing bass and guitar at the same time. My brother was showing me chords and stuff, where I was like, took to it and wanted to do it and was like obsessed with practicing. That's when it really hit. I had already had musical background, but I didn't fall in love with it till about that age.
It didn't become like an obsession.
Yes, correct.
Someone asked, have either of us met his dad, Enrique's dad, sorry, Julio? I haven't, but I'm not sure if you have.
No, never.
I know Eddie Caipo, monitor engineer for Enrique, had worked, and the guy that actually recommended me for the gig had actually worked as a front of house engineer, I believe, for Julio at a certain point in time. I don't remember when, probably long ago. But I think that's it. I've never met him, and Joe has it.
Yeah, never met him.
Another one about meeting people, just because it's a question people asking. Did you ever meet Anna before a show?
Yes, she's lovely. She was always, many times, I mean, she was around a lot. and so sweet, always really nice, and always, would come say hi to us. And early on, there's a couple times where we all went out to dinner, and I remember having some conversations with her, and she was always just really sweet and really kind to us. So yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, I met her. I've seen her a few times before shows, but for me, it's very memorable meeting her because, actually meeting her, because I'd be like, we're ready to go on. It's like, okay, here we go. We're getting on. It's like, guys, go pee. Right before the show, and then we hit the stage and we're just waiting there, and the music's pumping, and then I'll see her, but it's like I don't know her, so but she's always been really cool. And then that happened a handful of times. And then we were at Jamar's place, and we're having a little after party after a show there, and Enrique and Anna came. And she was saying, everyone, they were saying hi to everyone. And Anna was like, I've never really met her. So I was like, hi, my name's Sean. We've never actually met. And she's like, psst, come here.
Yeah, she's great, right?
Yeah, she's awesome.
Really kind and sweet, yeah.
Yeah, and then we chatted. Yeah, she's really, really sweet. Yeah, very, very sweet woman. Let's see here. This is a good one, which you can take to I'm interested in, actually, we'll take this one and elaborate on it with Shakira and American Idol, if you will, or any other things that you'd like. The question is, how does Enrique basically choose his band members? Is there a casting or something?
Well, I think early on there was probably major auditioning. In a lot of the musical world, there's a musical director or a band leader for most artists, and part of their duty is to find the right musicians for the gig. And when I say the right musicians, I mean the right musicians in a pretty broad sense, and that they can play the music, they understand the music, they can deliver the music the way it's supposed to be delivered, that they're kind to everybody, that there's no issues with them and everyone else, that they're fun to be around, so many things. It's pretty broad. Yeah. But I think the band, for his band in particular, it's been established for so long, and so Van has been there so long, Jamar has been there so long, Laura was there for such a long time that it's more just tweaks along the way. Like if people move on or do something different, or it's not working the way it used to, a lot of times it's more like there's one new person coming in, and those changes are smaller versus there's gigantic turnover from the whole band all the time. So it's really just, exchanging out when people move on. And some people don't, after being on the road for a while, don't want to be on the road, or maybe they had children and want to be at home more, so they move on. And then it's about finding the right person who fits in with that puzzle that already exists, versus starting from scratch all the time.
And so tell people real quick, what was your first experience, if you care to share, how did you get the Enrique gig?
No, I'll tell that story. So I got a call, I believe Tony Bruno was the musical director at the time, and he got my name from a man named Barry Squire, who was a big audition, put bands together guy for years, and he still does it. Where record companies or managers would get a hold of him, and he had this massive, kind of like a contractor, but different, but he had a massive Rolodex of musicians, and he would kind of go through and figure out who he thought, based on what they asked for, who would be a good option. So he had gotten my name from there, and unfortunately I was out of town when he called, and I missed the audition. Fast forward a few weeks later, I used to play in the Carson Daly house band. Carson Daly had a late night show, and I would play in that band. Well, a few weeks, I was super bummed. I missed the audition. There's nothing I could do. Just had to let it go. A few weeks later, I was playing in that band, and Enrique was a guest on the show. So I met Tony there, and we spoke on the phone. Nice to meet you. And they still hadn't decided. They were still trying different people out. They hadn't found a permanent new member. So then after that show, he asked me if I was available the next day to do, I believe it was Craig Kilborn or one of those. He was like, "Do you want to come do Craig?"
Like one track, one song.
Yeah, one song. He was like, "Do you have time tomorrow? Come do it with us, because we're still not, sold on anybody." I was like, "Absolutely." I went and did it, and when I went after the dress rehearsal for that, Enrique hired me. He was like, "It's yours if you want it," and I was like, "Awesome." And I think the next week we were in New York doing promo. I think we did Good Morning America and some other shows. Yeah, it happened really quickly, and then it was just on. It was great.
And is it a similar, from your experience, is it a similar situation getting the gig with Shakira or getting the gig with American Idol? I mean, it's a similar scenario for you? Or is there something else, another curveball?
Maybe. Actually, that one's maybe a little more unique. I think most often there is a direct musician that suggested me. Musician, yes. Or sometimes even like a tour manager or something that was like, "Oh, I know this guy who would be perfect for this." So yeah, so much of my work has come from other musicians who maybe we played together in a different setting, and they're like, "Oh, this guy would be good for this. I worked with him. We got along great. We played well together. Let's see if he's available." There's a lot of that going. I'm sure it's the same for you.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It's personal connections.
Yeah, which is always the best, because someone is vouching for you, and someone's saying, "Hey, I want to play with that guy. Let's get him." Which is the best case. That's what you want, You want everyone, versus someone coming out of the blue that nobody knows or no one has it, which works fine too. Met some amazing musicians in that way, but it's always nice to have a reference and to have a point of contact,
Awesome. Well, dude, we're almost coming to the hour, and this thing will tell us 30 seconds before and cut us off. So that's the last question we'll take. But do you have anything that you'd like to plug or anything you'd like to tell people? I don't know.
Oh,
anything
not necessarily.
That comes to mind?
I mean, I would just say thank you for tuning in. I'm sorry. I know you're supposed to read these. I didn't want to overly read these because I wanted to keep it converse. So if I missed a lot of this, I'm sorry. But thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. This is really fun. It's fun to talk with my old friend Sean. And
although we talk every day.
It's cool to relive a lot of the memories and think about this stuff, think about these times in our lives. So it's fun.
Awesome, brother. Well, dude, thank you so much for taking the time. You're my first Enrique guest. I'm so happy to have you. Enrique related, Enrique band related. Thanks to everyone for popping in and asking the questions and everything. And this will get better from every time we do it. We'll learn a little more. Hope you learned some new things about Joe. And as always, if there's like an insane, oh, you guys didn't talk about this and didn't talk about that, we can always do it again. But for now, I will bid you adieu, and thanks a lot for joining us. Joe, thanks so much for being here, and that's it. Have a great rest of the weekend.
You too. Thanks, Sean. Good man.